Hey folks, Country Prepper here. Now before we get to the topic at hand, in my last video when I talked about doing gear reviews again, I had some comments. People had some, let's say, reservations or concerns about gear reviews, and I completely understand. There are a lot of channels out there that do gear reviews that don't have the highest integrity when it comes to, you know, what they're reviewing or how they go about it. One of the things that I want to let people know for sure is that I don't get a product and make a video on it the next day. For example, this headlamp that I'm doing a review on here is, I've had it since May, so that's, what, 4 months that I have been using and testing this thing. Also, I don't just go by the specs on, you know, the website or the spec sheet that they send with, you know, like a flashlight or headlamp, whatever. I test them. I test the run times, and I test the, you know, the lumens against, I don't have any really technical equipment for doing it, but I test it against, you know, another flashlight or something that I have that is, has a similar lumen output, and just kind of test it to see if it's, you know, pretty close by eye. Within 50 lumens, you're not going to be able to tell. But, you know, definitely if... And I've gotten a flashlight before from another company that I was going to give them a chance and, you know, test their stuff out, and the output on the flashlight was nowhere near what they were claiming. They were way overstating the lumen outputs, and their run times were also outstated. So I just didn't even bother to review the flashlight. I asked them if they wanted me to send it back, and they said no. So I have it somewhere. I don't even know where it's at because I don't use it. It just wasn't that great of a product. And so it's probably in a drawer somewhere, just one of those, or I think it's actually in my power outage kit, if I remember right. So anyway, this just to address, you know, those concerns, and so let's go ahead and get started. So this is the A2 headlamp from Wowtac, formerly A-Tactical. I've done 2 flashlight reviews for them before. I did the A1 and the A1S. The A1S I use all the time. The A1 is in my pickup right now. I usually keep the A1S in there, but I've been using it for something else here recently. But just to attest to the longevity of the Wowtac, or formerly A-Tactical brand, I've had that flashlight, or those 2 flashlights I've had for about a year, and they're still holding up strong. The batteries still have, you know, the same run times as they did when it was new, and so a year later they're still holding up, they're still doing great. So I can attest to the quality that Wowtac is putting into their products. So that's the first thing I wanted to address about this, because this is a $20 headlamp, guys. Max output of 550 lumens on turbo. It is an 18650. It does come with the battery, but this thing is pretty big and it's a little bit heavy. One concern, just to give you guys, you know, completely honest, there is kind of, in my opinion, a negative on this, and that is that power button sticks out a little past. It's not recessed in. And so I kept this in my truck for a little while, and a couple of times it got rattled around going down the road or out in a field or whatever I was doing, and it turned the headlamp on. And so, you know, the light being on, it got kind of warm in there, and it ran, you know, till the battery went out. So that is just one concern that I have with this headlamp. It's not a deal breaker, but you just... if you're just putting it away somewhere, if you don't want it to get turned on, you might want to flip the battery around in it or something like that, because this does have the polarity reversal protection on it, so it won't turn on and it won't mess up the headlamp if the battery's in backwards. So that's one thing. If you're going to keep it in a place like that, in a console or a glove box, anything like that, or it could get bumped up against something, or in a backpack, whatever. That's just one little concern that I had about this. I wish that button was recessed a little bit, but like I said, it's not a deal breaker. Now the next thing I thought I should show you guys is how it comes packaged. Comes in with all this styrofoam, does have the instructions and specs and all that stuff, a little pamphlet type deal. It does come with a micro USB cable to recharge it, and it does come with an extra set of O-rings. The other thing that I really like about this is it does come with the battery, and it does have a micro USB charging port on it. So that's why I had it in my truck, and why I think it's good for keeping in a vehicle, or keeping in like a bug out bag or a get home bag, or just, you know, whatever. It's really nice to not have to carry a charger. One thing I usually don't like is this strap going up over top of my head, but this is a fairly heavy headlamp, and having an 18650 battery in it, it's got some weight to it, so it probably would slide down on your head if you took that strap off. If you did take it off, you'd really have to strap the headband tight around your head. So I've just left it on for now. Alright, lights out. Let's get some beam shots. So you hold, long press it, and there you get Firefly. Firefly is really good for, I don't know, like every now and then when I'm hanging in a hammock out camping, I like to read a book, and so Firefly comes in really handy for that. Next up, you got to click it back off, single click it, and you get low to start off with. Now this does have memory, however, if you hold the button down, you go up to, there's medium, let's back this off a little bit. You hold the button back down again, and it goes to low instead of high. I actually really like that. That way, if you don't want to go up to high right away, it doesn't cycle the next step up every time like a lot of flashlights or headlamps do. It goes back to low. So there's high. Pretty good beam shot. It's got pretty good distance. I'll hold this up quite a ways, and we'll go out in the yard and just see what kind of throw it has, but I just wanted to give you guys some close-up beam shots. Double click, and you get turbo. I am not going to turn on, it does have SOS, but I'm not going to turn it on right now because it would just be way too bright. Okay, so we're starting off on low, and I've got it out about 10 yards right now. Let's bump it up to medium. So now you can see there's a tree out there. It is about 20, maybe 25 yards away. That's a pretty good for just medium on here. So hold it down again, it'll go to low, back to medium, there's high. Now you can see it really well. That tree is so dead. That's the tree that's going to get turned into fat wood, guys. So let's click it back off and go to turbo. Yeah, that is a pretty good beam from a $20 headlamp. I think that is just pretty awesome. Thought I'd better show it to you guys with it on my head, just so you can kind of see how it's going to sit on your head. It is, you know, off to the side a little bit, but it's not noticeable at all if you've never used this type of headlamp before. That's the other thing that I forgot to mention earlier, is it does swivel on here, so you can, instead of having it click down like some of the you know, little plastic headlamps do, you actually get this right exactly where you need it. Another thing is you can pull this out of this little rubber housing thing and use it just as a angled flashlight. So it's another little feature. I did a bunch of research on headlamps in this price range, and I honestly can tell you that I think this is the absolute best bang for buck headlamp that you can buy for 20 bucks. It doesn't have the highest lumens that I found, but it's, you know, that one that I found had some kind of poor reviews, and so it's hard to say whether their lumen output is overstated or not. This one, the lumens are not overstated. Let's see, it's my ThruNite 1A V2 with a 14500 rechargeable battery, and it has 500 lumens. This one's 550 lumens on turbo, and they were comparable. I couldn't tell the difference between them. As always, if you're in the market for something like this, the links are in the description box. All of the specs will be in the description as well. One thing I need to come up with is a rating system for doing my reviews, just to kind of give you guys an idea of just how good I think something is. So, I don't know, out of, let's say, 5 stars, just to kind of wing it on this one, out of 5 stars, I would give it a 4. Maybe a 4.5, I'm not sure. But the only really downside is that button, and being, you know, getting pressed when it's not intended to be. So that's the only negative that I really have about this headlamp. It's got a really great price point. It's made out of good materials. It holds up against quite a bit of abuse. They also have an A2S, which is 1050 max lumens for output on that one. So it depends, and that one's 30 bucks. So it depends on how much you want to spend and just how bright of a headlamp you want, but you'll be able to find that through the link in the description as well. So if any of you guys that are watching this have one of these already, please leave a comment and let everybody know what you think of it as well. And I really love to hear you guys' feedback, what you think about my review of this. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.